Alright, so this is a heartbreaker for me because I love the Monkey so much, but I did notice a major flaw on it regarding the headlight and the bezel that keeps it onto the bike. So I'm going to show you that right now and what to look out for if you're doing the sort of riding that I do, which is off-road or rough riding on especially gravel road, something with a lot of potholes. It'll end up shaking this headlight bezel loose, and the headlight will actually come apart from the housing, and this is a problem I've noticed over and over, and it actually caused the screw to fall out of the headlight housing. So I'm going to show you that, and going to think of a potential fix on what I can do as far as making a product or something to hold the headlight onto the bezel better. But in the end, Honda should probably fix this. This is kind of like a design flaw in my opinion. And Honda, if you're watching this, take a look, and if people are using their bikes like I'm using, which is off-road and gravel roads, which to me is kind of the essence of this bike, because it is a remake of the trail bike, or Trail 70 kind of, or a Z50, something that people are going to go off-road with. This is going to be a problem that you'll encounter, because I've seen other people out there on the Monkey Facebook group that I'm on that have had the same problem. So take a look at it and be aware of it if you have a Monkey yourself. Okay, so what we're looking at here is the headlight bezel, which holds the headlight assembly onto the bucket, the headlight bucket here. And within that assembly, it's a screw on each side. There's a screw on the bottom, so one screw, the bottom screw, and the side screw over here. So two side screws and the bottom screw. And of course the headlight bucket itself is held on by these side mounts. So the problem that I'm finding is during rough riding, this assembly comes apart. The headlight bezel will come apart from the bucket, and then the headlight will pop out and be flopping loose. So you can kind of see where the separation is here. I don't know what holds it on inside. We can tear it apart and have a look, but you see there's like a good 1/8 inch gap here, and when I ride on rough roads, this will shake loose, and you see it pop out right here. There's a tab inside of there that comes loose. It's not holding it on. So as you're riding and it's shaking around, kind of does one of these, and then what it did, as you can see, this screw is a little bit different than this screw over here. That's because this screw came out entirely on me. I noticed the headlight was super loose, and then I looked down and this screw was gone. So it actually shook the screw out. And I'm not doing anything really extreme. I'm riding on light off-road stuff here in Florida. I mean, it's not even that rocky or anything. So it is a problem that surfaced relatively easily, in my opinion. Alright, so we'll take this headlight out, and it's just 2 Phillips screws on each side, and looks like a little 8mm on the bottom. As you can see, this is a special little screw. It's got a shoulder on it. It's got a fine thread on it, as you can see, compared to the other screw I had, which is off a Mazda Miata they just had laying around. Fine thread count, so it's going to be just not something that's laying around as easy as like an M10 or a. So the shoulder on it makes it a little bit different, a little bit harder to match up with something you have on your workbench. So when the screw came out during my riding, you can see that without the screws on the side, this thing is super loose, and essentially I only had one screw on, and I can simulate that by putting the one screw back in and showing you what happens when the one screw comes out. And that's it. That's basically how loose this thing was before I noticed there was a problem on there. Interestingly enough, I just went to remove the bottom 8mm bolt that's on here, and the whole assembly came apart, so it doesn't even look like that is holding it on. So let's take a closer look inside and see what's happening here and what might hold this thing on. There's a plug in there that's pretty tight. try to get that off, or just kind of sneak a peek on the inside. Yeah, the bottom here, it's just something that holds the bezel onto the actual bulb assembly. So it's not even, the bolt on the bottom doesn't even matter in terms of holding it onto this bucket. So basically you have two small little screws that hold the headlight assembly, which is actually kind of heavy. Feels like it's probably about 2.5–3 pounds, and that's just held in by two small screws. Looks like maybe M6 or something, screws fine threaded through the plastic housing into a metal bezel. So the metal part of that's good, but this top tab over here, there's really not much for it to grab onto on the underside of here. So I don't really know what I can do except maybe bend this metal tab up a little bit and see if it can't hook onto this a little bit better on the inside, but there's really not much on there. So I guess in the meantime we'll just try to hook this on, but I think I'm gonna go take this for a ride and show you guys how it comes apart and what kind of riding that I'm doing. So I want to see if I can't figure something out and maybe get this fixed, because we do a lot of off-road riding, and the way I look at this, it's kind of like a trail bike. It's a great on-road bike, and that's probably what it's made for, but the essence of it to me is a trail bike. You should be able to go off-road with it whenever you want, which I do quite often, so something I definitely want to look at fixing.